Hey, everybody, it's Tony George and Griffin Murphy from DocSports, the Vegas Beat, the podcast for guys and gals who like to bet sports as we just sit around and chew the fat and talk about what's on our mind, what's on deck. And what's on deck is week one of the NFL preseason, Griff. And so football is here. It's going to be here every Thursday night between now through February. So those of you that have been bypassing baseball and the prop market and NASCAR and golf, which you shouldn't, WNBA, which you shouldn't, but you've been waiting for football, it's here. So I always tell everybody, Griff, temper your enthusiasm in the preseason. I'm waiting for a reply.
Oh, I mean, you said it all. Absolutely. Temper your units in preseason. We don't know what the hell is going on. Look at week one, Hall of Fame game, absolute shit show, blowout matchup. I mean, the Chargers absolutely handed it to the Lions, and the public herd was all over the Lions. Same type of thing. You got to be very careful, and you really got to dial in on Trey Lance getting the start. Nobody knew Trey Lance was getting the start in that matchup. So there's little minor things you need to hone in on, Tony. My bad. I was frozen. Man.
Well, don't be intimidated by my presence. You know, I'm
absolutely.
Even though I'm a living legend, you can still communicate with me. Nonetheless, and speaking of living legend, which I'm not, but I do enter my 34th year in professionally handicapping and betting football, all sports, but football. My 34th year. Never thought I'd make it. There was a lot of days where you couldn't see the light at the end of the tunnel. When it comes in, Griffin, you've experienced this already in your young career.
Oh yeah.
It's sometimes sports betting can be a whirling cesspool of doom and despair, followed by the highest high the very next week and back and forth, this, that, and the other. But what we've been doing on these shows, and we'll talk a little bit about the preseason at the end of the show, we thought we'd take a look at the AFC North. Now, 2 weeks ago, we had a scheduling conflict last week. I think Griff probably had a hair appointment at the salon or a day spa date, but nonetheless, we're back this week. But we did preview the NFC East in our first Las Vegas beat. We're talking about the AFC North, which provides a lot of storylines this year. Now, our producer behind the scenes, Detroit Lenny, has put up the logos, the helmets of all the teams, and he put them up in the order of which he thinks this division finishes. So that would raise a lot of eyebrows because right now, the Baltimore Ravens, Griff, are odds-on favorite to win the Super Bowl at plus 650, followed by the Bengals this is Super Bowl. Followed by the Bengals at plus 2,200, Steelers at plus 3,500, and Browns, if you want a long shot, they're plus 30,000. They're 300 to 1. Don't waste your money. But intriguing, we'll start with the division odds. Well, no, I'm not. I'm going to start. We went from Super Bowl odds for those four teams to AFC Championship odds. The Ravens and the Bills are plus 330. Kansas City plus 425. And Cincinnati comes in fourth at plus 1,100. Those are the top four bet teams right now. So there is some validity in saying that the Bengals might scare this division, Griff. Defensively, I'm concerned. Offensively, I'm not. They blew all their money on offense in the offseason. They didn't leave a lot. I think they got their star defensive end signed, but other than that, and they drafted for defense, if you look at their draft card, Griff.
Yeah.
But if they'd have had a winning record and won 2 rounds into the playoffs last year, Burrow might have won the MVP.
Sure.
But you can't win an MVP on a losing type team. You just can't do it, especially when you don't get your team in the playoffs and you're a quarterback. Obviously, Jackson won it for the Ravens, but this is an interesting division. And, of course, the other storyline is Aaron Rodgers.
Right.
At Pittsburgh. Now, Tomlin has never had a losing season since he's been head coach there. And looking at all things being considered, Griff, he might have one this year.
Sure. I mean, there's a lot of question marks around this Steelers team right now, Tony. And the biggest thing, obviously, is going to be how is Aaron Rodgers going to perform? And does he have enough talent surrounding him? Because if Aaron Rodgers doesn't perform, you've got Will Howard out of Ohio State, and then you've got Mason Rudolph. We've already seen what Mason Rudolph's capable of doing in the NFL, and that's not winning games. I mean, he's a solid, very mediocre backup quarterback that you kind of just throw in. He's like a Skylar Thompson, Huntley that kind of travels all over the place, man, on every single team. Not the guy you want in that leadership helm role. I will say they did do a good job. They went and added DK Metcalf, which I really like. They have a big tight end in Darnell Washington. There's a lot of good things that you could talk about, but the biggest thing is there's a lot of liabilities. We don't know if Aaron Rodgers is going to be able to come out and do what he's done in Green Bay. We saw what he did with the Jets, given the granite factor. He never had any time with that offensive front to even throw the ball. He's still got a good arm. Been watching him in training camp. He's still dishing it out. He does look slower. He does look older. But the biggest question for me with this team right now is, can the offensive line stay healthy? The frequent issue for this Steelers team year in, year out is they're never healthy offensively in the interior. And to back up a liability with Aaron Rodgers at the helm, I see a lot of question marks in that sensation. So with all of that being said, I think there's a lot of question marks that are liabilities in my eyes for the Steelers team. Phenomenal head coach with Mike Tomlin, always a winner. So it's a very, very interesting thing. I want to see how this team kind of goes about, especially Aaron Rodgers go 3-4 weeks into the season. Then I could start making statements about this team. But right now, there's too many question marks. And does Rodgers have enough talent around him, even if he is the same guy that he was in Green Bay, to actually thrive with this Steelers team, Tony?
Well, the season win total is 8.5.
Yeah.
Which means they're already predicting them to have a losing record because there's 17 games in the season. The other thing, they traded away they got rid of Pickens at wide receiver, their best offensive deep threat.
Yep.
Now, they did pick up DJ Metcalf, who's a stud.
Sure.
And, I hate to kick him too hard. Or, our mutual good friend Paul Rubio,
yeah,
a fixture at the Mining Company Bar and Grill out on Rancho and Rainbow there in Las Vegas. One of my best buddies out there. Huge Steelers fan. I really enjoyed Kansas City wiping their ass on Christmas Day last year in Pittsburgh, since he took the time and money to fly out there to go to that game so he could rub my face in it. Guess what happened? But at day's end, I think they're going to – I don't get the fanfare over Aaron Rodgers. I think he's a prima donna. I think he comes with a lot of drama. One thing, he's definitely on the downside of a career. When Tom Brady was 41, 42 years old, he still was relevant and winning football games, and you had to prepare for him. Aaron Rodgers' last 17 games, he's 5-12, straight up. Now, I don't think he covered many spreads either. But I don't see it. Mason Rudolph, here's a guy that the first year I got in Survivor, I got down to in Circus Survivor. It was like week 12. And the Steelers, they still had Roethlisberger. Rudolph was his backup. And they were playing the Lions when the Lions weren't any good. At home. And you had to put your picks in on Thursday. Friday night, Roethlisberger comes down with COVID. I've already got the pick in. Rudolph's getting the start. But they're at home. Cold weather. We got a dome team. You think Detroit, you think cold weather. No, they're playing in 70 degrees inside. I'm thinking I'll be okay. All you got to do is manage the game. All you got to do is pound the running back.
Yeah.
Because Detroit couldn't stop grandma at the shopping cart at Costco when it came to somebody running the ball against them.
Yeah.
Mason Rudolph threw 4 interceptions in that game, including one on the half-yard line. When they were going to punch it in, they thought they'd fool Detroit, and they end up getting in a tie and ended up nobody won the game, and it was a tie. It knocked me out of Survivor. I'm 12 weeks in.
You told me this story, Tony. Oh,
and
yeah.
There's only like 146 or 106 or something like that guys left. So F Mason Rudolph. I hope he tears an Achilles.
I didn't see that one coming. I like it.
Oh, man. Okay, so let's talk about the top 2. Then we'll talk about the bottom 2.
Sure.
Now, the Ravens season win total is 11.5, and the Bengals is 9.5. If you take a look at the Ravens, if you just look at it, they potentially, as good as everybody thinks they are, they potentially could start 1-3. I'll tell you why.
Mm-hmm.
Let me put my glasses on to show my age. They open up at Buffalo.
Yep.
Then we have a home game against Cleveland. Okay, give me. Then they play Detroit, and then they play Kansas City. You got Kansas City on the road the week after Detroit when they get Detroit at home. I'm just saying, and then after Kansas City, they play Houston, another playoff team.
Yep.
So you've got 4 playoff teams in your first 5 games.
Mm-hmm.
And Kansas City and Buffalo, who are, whether you like it or not, cream of the crop in the AFC. I mean, I know everybody hates me, my Chiefs, but I'm just saying that's an elite team.
Yeah.
You've got 3 elite teams out of your first 4. Now let's take a look at Cincinnati.
Sure.
I'm trying to make a case for good old Lenny here. Now, why Cincinnati does have some defensive issues, they have none on offense and they can score with anybody. And this might be the year that they just have to outscore people, But you take a look at their first 4 games versus Baltimore's. They opened up at Cleveland. Now, last year, these assholes, I had them in Circus Survivor the first week, and they were a 7-point favorite or whatever it was against New England, and they lost at home in the opener. They took out 5,500 people in the Survivor contest first week.
Mm-hmm.
So never say never when it comes to these jerk-offs. But they open up at Cleveland, then they get Jacksonville at home, then they're at Minnesota, at Denver.
Yeah.
There's potential where they can open up 4-0.
Yeah.
And maybe maybe Baltimore 3-1, 2-2. Potentially 1-3.
Sure.
I'm just saying these possibilities are there, Griff.
Absolutely, Tony. I agree with you tremendously, but at the same time, I'm also going to say the Ravens, they're the team to beat in the AFC North. There's no question about it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
When it comes to an actual standpoint, we can look at this and we can look at what the Baltimore Ravens did last season. And offensively, never an issue. Lamar Jackson coming off a 41 touchdown season with just 4 picks. I mean, their offense is completely stacked. Zay Flowers, they added DeAndre Hopkins. But where I'm going with this was early on in the season last year with the Baltimore Ravens, they were terrible on the defensive side. For the first 5-6 games, they were an absolute mess. It took them till the second half of the season to finally solidify what their issue was. And the biggest thing through all the press conferences, everything that I've listened to, honed in on, studied, everything was lack of communication. Roquan Smith, he stepped it up, and they run that utility-based defense. It's a 2-3 split. They're very shifty on the linebacker spot. Roquan Smith, second half of the season, absolutely erupted. So to make that case, They have only one flaw on the defensive side. That is their secondary. So what did they go do? Sneaky draft. They go and get Mike Green out of Marshall. This guy should have been a first rounder. Absolutely outstanding. So that solidifies that secondary if this kid comes out and shines, which I anticipate he will do so. Already stacked at the linebacker position. We already know what they do with the run game with Henry. So
and by the way, I want to stop you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because you were on the secondary. They also got Jair Alexander out of the Green Bay, who's a stud.
Yep, exactly. So they're stacking across all of their lacks, is to put it in a better term. So this Ravens team already solidified last year. They have had no increments of going to the downside entering this season. The only thing that they've done is actually up the scale. And they've upped the scale on the defensive side where it was needed most. So regardless of their first 4 or 5 games, that's not the way I'm looking at this. I'm looking at the entire season preference, an 11.5 win total. I believe the Baltimore Ravens are absolutely the team to beat in the AFC North. And we can go back down now and talk about this Bengals team. There's a lot of question marks. Outstanding offense. Did it all season last year. But the problem was this offense would put up 30 points offensively and lose games still. That is unacceptable. Now, this season, they've got a rookie starter on their offensive line, and they have a second-year starter on their offensive line. That can be an issue for Joe Burrow. Granted, he's got all the talent in the world at the wide receiver spot. I mean, you've got T. Higgins, you've got Jamar Chase. It doesn't get much better than that. They did stack on some new linebackers and defensive line, which was their biggest flaw, was their defensive interior. So the biggest thing for me out of this Cincinnati Bengals team is going to be how well is their defensive interior going to be on the pass rush? Because if they can come out solidified on that defensive line, we already know what they're capable of doing offensively. So there are cases of arguments for both of these teams. But the bigger liability is the question mark with the Bengals. For the Ravens, on the other hand, there's no question marks for me. They are stacked on. They filled all the gaps they needed to fill. And this is the same team as last year, only better. So that's how I'm looking at this one right now, Tony.
Well, the one thing I know that Cincinnati's going to be better defensively because they hired Al Golden as their defensive coordinator. And he'll get the most out of those players. I think their secondary is going to be better. Linebacker, average at best. Defensive line, question mark.
Agreed.
And you got Derrick Henry running the football. Team you got to play twice. Tomlin's going to run the ball right at you. They're not going to put the entire onus on Rodgers. Cleveland's going to run the ball.
That's all they got? Yeah.
Cleveland, and we'll talk about Cleveland here in a minute, and Cleveland when it comes to the preseason. But the Ravens are minus 165 to win the division. The Bengals are plus 270. Steelers plus 500. Browns plus 3,500. Let's talk about the power ratings.
Sure.
Now, last week we gave you, last show we did, I take power ratings, I average them all out, and I have my own. But for the purpose of everybody being able to look them up, go to teamrankings.com. The Ravens are number 1 in the NFL. Power rated 6.7. I think the the Bills are 6.5. So 0.2 of a point. And they open up at Buffalo. And that line is Buffalo -1, total 52.5. Week 1. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So they're expecting fireworks. With those two quarterbacks, you ought to.
Of course.
But what you expect week 1 and what you get are two different things. So automatically take the under. Okay.
My bad, Tony.
There we go. Hey, this is live for a reason, folks. Okay, I put mine on silent, but I'm always prepared.
Mine goes through the laptop, man. I don't know what I'm supposed to do here.
Yeah. Then you've got Cincinnati to 2.6. So they're saying the Ravens are 4 points better than anybody in their division. That would be on a neutral site. Then the Steelers, 0.2. So they're saying that between the Ravens and the Steelers, and their Steelers and Ravens are always a classic game. Throw out the record books, throw out the point spread. It's a knockdown, drag out. is every year. It has been since Harbaugh and Tomlin been knocking heads. Just the way it is. It's like an old school Ohio State, Michigan type thing.
Yeah.
Big rivalry. That is must see TV every time they hook up. Every time. And I hate both those teams, by the way. But then you have the Browns at minus 5.8. So they're basically saying that they're 10 points better than the Browns and the Ravens are. Those are the point differences there. Cincy is number 8 overall in the power rankings. So there's a lot of love for Cincinnati out there, Griff, and I think there's a lot of people that are willing to bet plus 270 on them to win this division. As are you going to bet minus 165? It's chalky on Baltimore to win it. Yeah. If you like laying chalk and you think they're going to win it, that's fine. Lay the 165, put $300-400 on it, call the day. You walk away with about 300, but I don't think the Steelers have a shot at plus 500. There's no sprinkle there. There's none on the Browns, but Bengals plus 270. There's a little bit of a sprinkle on that.
Sure.
To upset. According to Lenny, he's going to bet it because he's got him ranked number 1 in this division. I don't. I'm with you. I think the Ravens playing a schedule that they're playing, I could see them losing 6 games.
Okay.
And for any reason, if Jackson or Henry go down, they're definitely going to lose 6 games.
Yeah.
So you got to figure that in. So you take a chance. I'd go under the 11.5 with them, minus 110. Bengals, I'd go over the 9.5. I think they're going to be good. I think Golden will get their defense lined out. You take a look at the 2 best coaches in this division are Harbaugh and Tomlin.
Yes.
Then Zach Taylor, and then Stepnaski at but can you really call him a bad coach? He hadn't had anything to work with. No. Now, Cleveland, on the other hand, Griff, can they win 5.5 games? They don't even know who the hell's starting a quarterback. Probably Flacco.
Yeah.
You got Pickens. He got hurt from the Steelers. So he's out. And then they drafted the Sanders kid, one of the dead last picks in the 5th round. And they also got Gabriel, the kid from Oklahoma that ended up a senior year at Oregon throwing for 80% completion rate.
Yeah.
So they've got it's going to be interesting to bet them in the preseason because they're going to be giving all those guys a lot of snaps.
Well, that's the biggest thing, Tony. And I kind of look at this in another Russell Wilson, Justin Fields scenario, kind of a lot of those Aaron Rodgers, Brett Favre. I mean, you go down the list. It's not necessarily the same comparison, but basically, Joe Flacco is going to start. He's going to lead this team. And then you've got Gabriel. You've got Sanders. Pickett's all banged up to begin with. He's never been an impressive quarterback to begin with. And now they just went and picked up Huntley, who's another quarterback we talked about. He's been all over the place. They've got 5 quarterbacks right now, all fighting for a spot. The defense, extremely young. Offensive line, extremely young. But that is their most I would say their most talented rating is their offensive line. I don't think the run game for the Cleveland Browns is going to be an issue this season, but the problem is they don't have any way to score points. Flacco's a hit or miss type of guy all season, every single year. You never know what to expect. He's way better coming off the bench. I believe we're going to see Gabriel getting that start at the quarterback spot. I believe he's the guy for the job, but I don't think he's going to get that start until 6-7 weeks into the season when the Browns are pretty much done. And at that point, when you get to that point, the goal is you want to lose out. You want to lose for the better draft pick for the next season. The way I look at the Cleveland Browns this season is a full-blown rebuild. Who's going to be our guy at the quarterback spot? They don't really have an impressive running back, with Jerome Ford is I would say their number one guy, if I'm not mistaken. Their offensive line is okay. Very, very young on the defensive side. A lot of new moves from the office. So there's so many if factors with the Browns. And this brings us back to win totals, odds, and betting. -165 to take the Ravens to win it, +270 with the Bengals. This entire division is so wide open, and there are so many question marks on every single team that we've talked about other than the Ravens. The only thing the Ravens do have is a tough schedule to start off the season. So for me, when I look at this entire division, there's really no action that I want to punch in with any futures tickets. We don't know what the Browns are going to be capable of doing because we don't even know who their quarterback is. And then we go down to the Bengals right now. We don't know if their defensive line is going to be strong enough to stop anybody on the run game. We can go to the Ravens. We know they have a tough schedule, but we also know they've got the 1-2 punch with Lamar and Derrick Henry stacking on DeAndre Hopkins. You already got Zay Flowers, Mark Andrews. I can go down the list. And then for the Steelers, what the hell is Aaron Rodgers going to do? I mean, this guy, we watched him in New York. He couldn't get it done there. We watched him in Green Bay his entire life. The guy's been tripping on ayahuasca and everything else, telling everybody he's where he's supposed to be, but we don't know. They got rid of Pickens. They added Metcalf. They still need another wide receiver. I figured they were going to go and get Terry McLaurin from the Commanders because he couldn't make a deal with them. That would have been a huge move for the Steelers because they need more talent in that core. The reason I think they're not doing it right now is because they don't have enough faith in Aaron Rodgers at the quarterback spot. Too many question marks in this division right now for me to put an actual wager in, Tony. But if you're going to ask me right off, you put a gun to my head and say, do you think the Browns are going to win over 5.5 games? I'm going to say no. I don't believe they're going to do it because you need a quarterback. You need to be solidified at that position to score points. And how do you win games? You score points. If you don't have a guy who you know is going to lead the charge to do it for you, how the hell are we supposed to back him? So at the same time, Tony, I look at this division. It's completely wide open. It's the Ravens for the taking. We're going to find out a lot about the Cincinnati Bengals team, and it all comes down to how that defense comes out, especially on the interior pass rush.
Well, doing this for as long as I have and been betting season win totals for quite some time, I tend to like taking over on bad teams because at the end of the day, public perception has them undervalued in the marketplace. And it is the NFL, and anybody can beat. The Browns could beat Baltimore in Baltimore. They could beat Kansas City in Kansas City. They could beat San Fran in San Fran. Whatever. They can beat the Eagles. It's the NFL. And their defense, is stout. Very stout. Now, they weren't that good on the road last year. They're probably not going to. They were good at home. But here's the one thing that you need to look at. This team could start out 0-7 and probably will. And you may even get to the point where you have a coaching change midseason, which will throw another monkey in the wrench. They start out with Cincinnati, then Baltimore, then Green Bay. Baltimore is on the road. After Green Bay, then they go to Detroit. Then they play Minnesota. Then they play at Pittsburgh. Then they get Miami. So it might be October 26th, where they're currently on the futures market, a plus 5.5 point underdog to New England on the road. Then they get their bye week. Then they got to turn around and go back and play the Jets as a 3-point underdog right now. Then they play Baltimore. Then they go to Las Vegas. They may be able to get a win against Vegas, but it's on the road. Then you got San Francisco. Then you got Tennessee. That's going to be a battle of uglies. Then you go to your Bears, and that is in mid-December. And then they finish. Get this finish. Buffalo, Pittsburgh, Cincinnati. Where in the hell do you find 6 wins to cover that number in that schedule? Don't.
There's 2 teams that were questionable beatdown wins, maybe. And that was the Titans and the Raiders. Maybe.
And now you got Pete Carroll at the Raiders. You don't know what's going to happen there. He's familiar with Geno Smith because he brought him into Seattle to begin with and worked with him and cultivated him and made him an NFL quarterback where he could read a damn defense because he couldn't do it at West Virginia and he couldn't do it when he got drafted.
Yeah.
But he learned how to do it under Pete Carroll. I mean, that's going to be a 13-10 ball game coin flip at the end. I mean, that's what we're looking at here. My best bet is under 5.5 with Cleveland. And I usually bet overs on bad teams. Thinking, they can't suck that bad for that long. Mm-hmm. I'd sprinkle a little bit on Cincinnati in this division as well. We've got preseason this week. I think that teams you want to look out for are teams with quarterback battles in week 1. Yep. We still got the Colts trying to figure out what they're going to do with Jones or Richardson. You've got the Saints trying to figure out what they're going to do. You got the Browns figuring out what they're going to do. They are going to start Flacco, but everybody behind him is battling for a spot. Mm-hmm. They're going to cut somebody. Who it is, I don't know. It's not Pickens, so it's Sanders or Gabriel, the two rookies, somewhere. So there's going to be a battle there, and those teams will probably leave some not starters in, but your second stringers will see maybe a little more extended time before you put in the third and the fourth guys. Mm-hmm. So these are teams you want to look out for in the preseason in week 1. I'd be remiss in my duties if I didn't bring up that we are at DocSports.com, that he's Griffin Murphy and I'm Tony George, and we give anybody a free $60 that's never been a member of Docs. We'll park it in any new account. Comes with a profit guarantee and no hassles. You could put that also towards a season package in football and get an additional 60% off the $200 that's already off for the early bird discounts because football is right around the corner. We'll be talking some college football in the upcoming weeks. But right now I'm staying focused on baseball. Griffin, I wanted to give you a shout out. Congratulations. You hit your Major League Baseball game of the year here a couple days ago on the Brew Crew, and I believe they racked up like 16 runs in that game. I had the over in that game. I remember you text me, go, hey, I'm yanking the cord on the Brewers. I go, shit, I'm on the over, dude. And Quintana on the road, you got it done.
Dude, Tony, I was at your house, man. We talked about this. We both wrote the same play. Quintana on the road, absolutely sensational. We both read him first 5 way back like 3, maybe a month and a half ago. I texted you, woke up that morning. I already had it circled up. I said, hey, Quintana's back on the road. And then I pulled up his lifetime ERA against the Nationals, which was like a 1.15 lifetime unbeaten. And then Mitchell Parker was getting the start for the Nationals. He had like a 6.0 lifetime against the Brewers in his career. And at home this season, absolutely torched. So the play was solidified. Every edge was circled up. So texted you, shot it out, and absolutely popped it 16-9 final, which absolutely went our way. Couldn't be more happy. And since then, we've been absolutely on fire when it comes to the diamond. I've had 7 of 8 straight winning days. I'm 12-5 in my last 17 plays, 7-3 in the last 10. So we're hot right now on the diamond, winning a lot of top plays, winning a lot of smaller plays. It's been going our way as of late, Tony. Got a couple big plays going out tonight, 3-unit and a 4-unit. So looking forward to that. But most importantly, we got NFL right in our whatever vision. I can't say the damn word. You know where I'm going with it. The NFL's around the corner, baby. So let's get jacked up.
We are getting ready for football. You get ready for football. Get over to Docs. Check me out daily for my free plays as well as Griff on the YouTube channel. And Griff does Docs daily 3, 4, or 5 days a week, depending. I'll be up Friday with the Big Ten report with Chris Schmidt from the Average Joe Sports Network, my old buddy from Lincoln, ESPN buddy from Lincoln, who just got back from Big Ten Media Days. And we're going to break down my beloved Nebraska Cornhuskers. Matt Rule, Griff.
Yeah.
It took him the 3rd year when he got to Temple before he had 8 or 9 wins ahead of him in a major bowl game. When he went to Baylor, it took him his 3rd year. 2 disheveled programs turned him around. Baylor was a national in the national title talk for a while that year, got them going. Well, it's his third year at Nebraska.
Mhm.
Does he get it going or not? Can they contend for at least be competitive and stick up 8 or 9 wins in the Big Ten? Tune in Friday right here on this channel and find out. Until next week, for Griff Murphy, I'm Tony George. Thanks for tuning in.